a big part of neoliberalism is globalization. And it's globalization of trade, it's globalization of finance, and it is trying to enforce what we call property rights on everybody else, property rights that protect the elites in the West. So intellectual property rights, the trademarks, the innovations, the inventions, to make sure that that our people who own these rights get as much money as they possibly can out of the rights. So that's what the globalization is all about. And as a result of that globalization, in a way, our elites don't care that much what happens to the U.S. economy, because a very large portion of their earnings come from abroad, because they are now very globalized. And if we're going to have production in the U.S., the costs have to decline. They have to decline to the low-cost producers, let's say largely in Asia now. And so there is tremendous pressure to reduce costs if you're going to produce anything in the U.S. How do you produce costs? Well, mostly it's going to have to be wages. Wages have to decline to global standards, which are much lower than ours. And so we've had downward pressure on wages since the 1970s. And as a result, they are largely stagnant in real terms. So how can you possibly sell things to Americans? While you're waiting for the Chinese income to come up in order to increase markets there, you have to sell things to Americans. Well, their wages are stagnant. They can't afford to buy anymore. So what are you going to do? You've got to convince them to go into debt. And so since the 70s, there's been rising on trend indebtedness of U.S. households as they try to make up for the lack of wage increases. So yes, they're pushing this combination, globalization, and we will move our production outside the U.S. unless you guys will take lower wages. If you do accept the lower wages, then the only way we can sell stuff to you is to get you to take on debt. So all these things are connected in a way that led to the global financial crisis.